In this video we are going to be looking over this Olympus XA2 compact 35mm camera. This is from, I believe, the mid-1980s. This one was bought at a local store here for $99.99, probably a long time ago. And we've got the original outer box here. There's a serial number that shows through 2965379. I believe this is how they always showed it, handwritten on a little label on the bottom of this plastic box that it's in. So let's slide this case out of the box and look at what we have here. Olympus, and on here it says quality is forever on this little gold sticker. And we push here on the front to flip this up, and here's some paperwork. And here is the Olympus XA2 camera with this insert that's there. We got that back in the box. So this is the right box for this. And we have the Olympus XA2 camera along with the A11 electronic flash and a little piece of protective material. Some sort of sheet that looks like it's part of some instructions, maybe some updates. A little manual for the flash unit. Little instruction sheet that shows attaching the strap to the camera. Looks like must be what that is, or something about just using how to hold the camera without causing problems. Here's the little sheet for installing the strap, and this information about authorized distributors. There is no actual user manual for the camera. That seems to be about the only thing missing here. I did verify that this serial number on the bottom matches the serial number on the camera itself that is shown right here on the end, and you can see that in one of the close-up photos. What I thought we'd do here is test this camera out to the extent that we can sitting here. So what I have is a scrap roll of film, a single AA battery, and two little button cells. And none of these things are included with it. They're just here for our testing right now. But let's get started with that. First thing I'm going to do is take the flash unit off, and it just comes off with that little screw. And let's look over the camera a little bit before we start using it. If I pull up on the film rewind lever, we see it opens up. And what I want to point out here is that I see a lot of foam that has printed over on this side, and it feels pretty dry, and up on this edge that has come out of this area here from the light seal material. This light seal material, as in most of these that I see, looks pretty bad. And as I look at this camera though, it doesn't have a lot of wear on it, so I'm guessing it was used lightly, and here's a little scratch. But not very heavily scratched. So I'm guessing it was used for a little bit, put back in the case, and it sat there for 30-some years until we're looking at it today. What I've got here, a penny that I can use in this coin slot just to get that started, so we can try putting some batteries in the camera. Let's get that out and keep going with the penny. Just unscrew that carefully, okay. And then we drop the batteries in, and we put the little cover back on. Make sure that the threads catch, and we're not cross-threading. I always like to back it up a little till I hear that snap. And then now we know we can just tighten it up. Okay. And in a similar way with the flash, this comes off, And now this uses a AA battery, and these are very often found with leaky batteries inside. So it's nice to see this contact nice and clean here. So we drop that in with the positive side facing out, slide that closed, and then we could put this on here. What I'm going to do first though is do some tests on the camera, and so we can do the battery check. I can hear that. I'm assuming that comes through. Okay. Now we can slide this open, and we can see here is the focus, and I can see the lens moving a little bit as I do that. The XA2 had a zone type focus with just a distant and then kind of an intermediate and then a closer up setting. And I think the idea of this one being off color a little bit is that if you just leave it there, it's approximately in focus for a wide range, and it effectively makes it a point and shoot camera. And what's kind of interesting is if you set this to anything other than that setting, when you close the camera it sets it back to that, so that when you open it again, there you are. So that's kind of an interesting little feature. And what I'm going to do now is load the film. So we can go around the back here. We're going to close it, pop the back open, and we can set the film cartridge in on this side and push that down. Feed this across, making sure it engages with the sprocket hole and that it enters one of these slots over here on this side. Okay, so there we've got that, and let's just start winding that a little bit just to make sure that it's going. Okay, so there we are. Now we've got the film counter here showing S for start, I believe, and we're going to have to just crank that a couple times until it points at picture number 1, which is right there. It's kind of halfway between 1 and 2, but anyway, there it is. So now to test this out in just a general sense, let's look at the shutter. Okay, I saw that go off. Now, if we were to block off much of the light getting into the sensor, it should slow down. And we saw that. And if we really concentrate light right in there, very fast. So we know it's responding to light. Down here's where we can set the ASA and the ISO. Now if we set this to a very slow setting, like ASA 25, and we hold it like this, a little bit slow speed, if we just set that way up to 800 and keep it in the same orientation, it should be much faster. And it certainly was. So the metering is responding to the ASA or ISO setting and the light conditions. So we don't know how accurate that is, but it is doing that. Now let's wind one more here and test out the self timer. Set it for self timer, and I'm just going to set it over here and start it. Okay, and we can see this little red light is blinking right here, and it's beeping. Goes up in pitch, completes the cycle, and that's done. Okay, now let's attach the flash, and we put the battery in there, so it should be all set. We just simply screw that in with that finger screw from the side, being sure to get things aligned right. Okay, there we have the flash attached, and shut the self timer off. And to set the flash, we push this little lever right here, and that makes this pop up. And I can hear the high-pitched little whine of the flash charging up. And I'm just going to turn this light off so that we can more clearly see when the orange light starts glowing right there. And that should be very soon. There it is. Okay, we can see that glowing right there. So now, if I wind this up and cock it, we should be able to see the flash go off. And we certainly did. Very bright. And I hear it regenerating again. And there it is. Another flash. Then you can shut the flash off by doing that. And if you don't like to carry the flash with you, the camera is quite a bit more compact without it. So you can just leave that at home and put this in your pocket, and it's a very nice small pocketable 35mm film camera. So now the only thing really left to check is the rewind feature, so I'm just going to pop off whatever remaining frames are on this scrap roll of film. So we'll just hurry up and do that. In fact, we can just pretend that we're at the end. Let's assume that's the end. To rewind, we just push this little button on the bottom here, and then we close this up, flip out the little crank, and wind the film back into the canister. Manual rewind, the way cameras all used to be. And since we really don't care about this film, I'm just going to pop the back open so we can watch this happening. So there it is. And normally you'd keep cranking until it's all the way into the canister, but we can see we wound it back into here. Back of the camera closes properly, and everything looks really good. So I'm going to take out the battery from there, and we're going to take out the batteries from in the camera itself and put the little battery cover back on. And reattach the flash and put the camera back in its box. And flip that open from the right way. Set the strap in along the edge so the box will close properly. Put the little protective piece on top and the paperwork that's with it here. Close the cover and slide that into here so that the serial number on the bottom shows through the little window on the back of the box. So, a fairly nicely preserved example of the Olympus XA2. Seems to have everything with it except the owner's manual for the camera itself. But pretty rare find to have all of this together in this condition.